What's good, y'all? Back again, another day. It's your boy, the Curtis York. We finally figured out what was going on with the internet last night, so we are back to your regularly scheduled program of the Live Until 500, and we're doing it with the full thing and not the phone tonight. So grateful for that. Shout out to everybody that's been watching the playback of the phone. I apologize for the quality. We had to do what we had to do because your boy was not trying to miss. Um, Also, I apologize for the lateness. Typically it's been 9:30. That is not. Ooh, y'all, I gotta change this light bulb, but you might not notice it because I have pretty solid lighting in here. But if you see it flicker, don't judge the boy. It is what it is. I just gotta get up there and change it. But anyways, man, what I want to talk about tonight, because I value your time, and plus I'm gonna watch a movie with the wife, so I'm not going take up too much time. The Burial, that's the movie that we're gonna watch. It's on Amazon Prime, so we're gonna check it out. Started it was pretty good, but wifey fell asleep, and so you know we started doing other stuff. Yeah, the lights flickering. Y'all just gonna have to bear with it. But anyways, man, what I wanted to talk about tonight was first I saw clips floating around of Charleston White, and for those of you who don't know, Charleston White is I guess you could say content creator who he says a lot of inflammatory things, to say the least. The first time I really heard of Charleston White was when he said F Nipsey after he died. And, I was kind of like, all right, clearly this guy is saying things for shock value, and clearly I'm not his audience. And it turns out that I was right. I'm not his audience. And I'll go into depth about that. But yeah, Charleston White is I think it's a fairly accurate depiction to say that he is a content creator that says a lot of very inflammatory things on the internet. Hold on, y'all, because that's gonna drive me crazy. Let me see something. Okay, yeah, that's just how we gonna rock. The lighting still looks good, so we good. So yeah, says a lot of very inflammatory things on the internet. Usually you see memes of him, people laughing at his eye, people laughing at his face, and just all kind of silly antics that he does. Full disclosure, I haven't really done much research on him, so I just want to set the stage that everything I say is just strictly in relationship to the video that I saw. I don't know much about Charleston White to speak on, other things that he did or he may have said. I'm not a Charleston White fan. I don't know enough about him, but the interview I saw with Cam Newton, I just felt like that was something that I could give some time to. And I watched it, and, I got to admit, I was surprised, y'all. Like, a lot of the things that he said, of course, he said some inflammatory stuff, but he broke down why he says inflammatory stuff. And, once I saw his why, the reason that he does things, um, I can't really say I disagree with them, man. Again, just speaking on what I saw in that one video, I can't speak to everything. I've learned a long time ago, you can see one thing in one particular situation and, make a decision based off that and not, know everything. So I don't know, but based off that one video that I saw with him and Cam Newton, and the most important thing, I noticed that Cam called him out as a C word, because I know they act funny when you say that word. The little animals that look like squirrels that they call black people, he called him a C word. And so, can I say coon? I said it, coon. So he asked him about cooning, what I'm saying? And Charleston White was like, yeah, so if I say, F this particular person, you know, this person did a lot of damage to the community. Now, mind you, what he said, and I don't know the truth of it. Again, I don't know much about him. Is that he works in the community and he works with youth and he's a youth advocate. And basically, the framework of why he says a lot of the inflammatory things that he says was basically, you know, when I was getting bills passed and when I was, talking to politicians and I was actually doing the work and I had on a suit and tie. I think he said a bow tie. You know, nobody listened to me. Nobody paid me any attention. But now that I'm on the internet saying all of these inflammatory things, all of a sudden people pay attention to me. So I'm going to tell the truth. And, he brought up a topic that people talk about a lot, that I've seen happen a lot this year. It's been about the music of hip hop and how it is detrimental to our society as Black Americans or Black people. And, if we keep it 100, I've said it before, rap music hasn't been our friend. And I hate that it's coming up this year on the 50th birthday of hip hop. It seems like that's just a trending topic now to talk about how bad hip hop is and how it negatively affects people. But I mean, if you look and you see what's promoted and what's being propagandized, I guess you could say that it is the lower levels of society. You have anomalies. Of course, you have your Kendrick and you have your Cole, but pretty much it stops there. You have a lot of other rappers that are equally, I think, more talented than those two. I think Lupe Fiasco is one of the best lyricists ever. Like, I definitely rank Lupe over Kendrick Lamar, but people don't really listen to Lupe like that. He's from Chicago, but he doesn't fit the Chicago narrative, even though he had dreads at one point in time. He looks like a Black person from Chicago, but people judge him a certain way because some of the songs that he made, and the content that he talks about, it's not typical Chicago things. But then again, it's not fair to say that because you have a lot of different music that comes out of Chicago. It's just the most popular music out of Chicago happens to be one type of music. And then you ask the question why, and people look at you like you're crazy. But there's a lot of different genres of music by Black people that has come out of Chicago. We got Chance the Rapper out of there because he made songs about his wife. So I do think that Charleston White made a lot of valid points when he was talking about how the music is definitely propaganda and it definitely promotes a lot of negativity. And yeah, I mean, the other day I was on the live. You can go watch it. We were talking to Superfly Kicks, and he was basically saying he goes time on end without even listening to music. And there's been times where I have just cleared my mind from music, or I'd only listen to jazz, or I listen to classical music. I listen to things other than rap just to hear something different. And the reason is because a lot of the stuff that they talk about isn't my lifestyle. I've never been a gangster. I've never been a thug. I've never been any of those types of things. And if that's not your background and that's the prevailing image of what we're supposed to be, because I mean, we got to keep it 100. When I was teaching, a lot of the kids didn't look to the teachers or they didn't look to the positive male figures in the community. They looked at the people that had the money. And on a large scale, the people that have the most money are rappers, athletes, and entertainers. You look at it on the local level, the people in small communities where there isn't solid industry or, a decent economy, you have people that find illicit means to make income. And those are the people that, the youth looks at because their brains aren't fully developed. They don't understand right and wrong 100%. They're still learning. They're still figuring things out. They're very impressionable. And we talked about how social media plays into that. And so you factor in all these things and you look at the root cause of it. And a lot of these people are being conditioned by the music. He said something that was very profound, I think. He said that a lot of people raise their kids, but they don't train their kids. And one of my favorite movies for a long time was King Richard with Will Smith, which it's unfortunate that the actions and everything with him and Jada and the Chris Rock thing, it took away from how good that movie is. And nobody even really talks about that movie anymore. But that movie was really good because it showed how far a black father is willing to go to train his kids. He didn't raise them, he trained them. He had things planned out. He worked tirelessly and he made sure that his children were successful. He had plans for them. And of course, you can look at the things that he did wrong or all of his other kids and, the behaviors and the negative traits. We're not, we can talk about it, but I don't want to focus on that because oftentimes we focus on the negative and we tear people down more than we build them up. Society thrives off negativity. I was watching a video of Jason Kidd just talking about how people always talk about the negatives, but they don't focus on the positives. And I feel like if we keep it 100, nobody's perfect. And I don't understand why I got to say we keep it 100 because that's just the reality of life. No one is perfect. Everybody has skeletons in their closet. Everybody has things that they've done wrong. Everyone has mistakes that they've made. But we pick and choose who we want to vilify. We pick and choose who we want to use as scapegoats. And everybody else, they just get a pass or we just don't talk about it. And the people that are typically judging these people are people that have their own skeletons because, again, everybody has things that they've done that were wrong. Everybody's a villain in somebody else's story. So, getting back to the King Richard movie, if you have kids, I definitely encourage you to watch it and just see how he drilled those kids and how he spent time with those kids. And it wasn't just raising them. He made sure they kept their grades on point. He studied with them. He trained them. He groomed them, man. And here's the thing. One of my mentors from back in the day, I actually need to call and check on him. His name was Benjamin Bailey, Sumter, South Carolina. Shout out to Mr. Bailey. He said that everybody wants their own piece of clay. And when you have children, if you believe in the tabula rasa concept, which basically means that children are a blank slate, then somebody is writing on that tablet. Somebody is putting something on that slate. And you better hope it's you as a parent that you're writing on that slate and you're indoctrinating your child and you're teaching your child and training your child how you want them to grow up. Because if you don't, somebody else is. And that's how you end up with children that are out of control and their parents can't figure out why. It's because they didn't have a program for their children. They didn't have a mission. They didn't have a standard. They didn't have things that they didn't have expectations. Their children got raised by rap music. And I know it's a very popular thing to blame the music, and I'm not going to do that here. I am going to push back and say that the parents should control what their children listen to. That's what rappers usually say, and I agree with that. But at the same time, somebody's listening to this stuff, and you got to think, why do we listen to that stuff? Why is that the music that is the most popular for us? When we don't even control the record labels like that anymore. Of course, you have independent record labels, but if you look at those, for the most part, what you got, Dreamville, and they talk about, other stuff outside of the norm. But when you think of mainstream music, whether it's independent or, mainstream, the subject content, the subject matter is pretty much the same. So we got to look at the music, man, to a certain degree. And so based on, other clips that I saw, I never thought that I'd be able to listen to Charleston White and find points that I agree with. But he made a lot of valid points. He did. It's like, man, I went in like, man, I don't want to like this guy. I don't want this guy to be right. But he brought up, hold on, we got my guy Matt in the chat, man. Shout out to my boy Matt, man. Matt is one of the most positive brothers that I know, man. Every Monday, faithfully, like clockwork, Matt is sending out a positive message to start the week off right. Shout out to my guy Matt, man. Appreciate you for joining in, brother. A great movie on balance of street life and family values is A Bronx Tale. Yeah, man. I think mafia movies. Just the other night, I was talking about what was the movie? The movie with Joe Pesci and those guys, Goodfellas. But yeah, man, if you want to learn about family and balance, I definitely encourage you to watch a mafia movie. And the thing about that is a lot of the rappers watched mafia movies and they only focused on the gangster stuff. They didn't focus on how they did group economics with each other or how, they preached family values and how they had rules and morals and principles. The movie The Godfather, if you watch it, what they were talking about when they were in the restaurant trying to figure out whether they were going to sell drugs or not, they were like, yo, we can sell drugs, but we can't do it in our own community. You go over there and you sell it to the black people, but you don't sell drugs in our community because we want to maintain our community. Little things like that. That's the part that a lot of people miss. They focus on the shooting and the killing, but they don't really focus on the deeper things. I think everybody should watch The Godfather and they should look at it from the mindset of how to, you know, run a business, man. You can look at Michael, the father. He didn't want Michael to be a part of that life. He wanted Michael to be the one to go off to school, and Michael joined the military, and Michael was the one that was supposed to do something different. Don't you know that if you look at history, there's always people that did illicit things and they had the one that changed the course? You look at the Kennedy family. I want to say the dad, I can't remember his name. Was it Jack Kennedy? I think it was Jack Kennedy. Jack Kennedy was a bootlegger. Was it Jack Kennedy? I got to make sure I get my facts straight, y'all. I don't want to be giving misinformation. I think it was Jack Kennedy. No, Jack Kennedy is John Kennedy. What was his dad's name? Um, yeah, it wasn't Jack. I can't think of his father's name, but we're going to find it, y'all, because I want to make sure that I'm giving accurate information. I don't want to just be out here running my mouth. And I think that's another problem, too. We got a lot of people that just get in front of a microphone and they just start saying things just for attention. And honestly, that's where I thought Charleston White was. But I can honestly say after watching that, it kind of changed my mind. Let me see. Joseph. Joseph Kennedy. Joseph Kennedy. That was his name. So Joseph Kennedy, this guy right here, John Kennedy's father, he was a bootlegger, y'all. But look at all of these things that they talk about when they talk about him. They talk about him, what I'm saying, working with Franklin Roosevelt. They talk about him being in the Democratic Party. They talk about him being the chairman of the SEC. Let me see. Do they touch on him being a bootlegger? Let me see. Do they touch on it? I don't see where they talk about it like that. Unregulated stock market, market manipulation. I don't see them talking about it, but yeah, it's pretty common knowledge that he was a. Let me see. I don't want to be. I'm gonna look. I'm gonna look. I'm gonna look. They don't really talk about it. They don't listen. Let me see. I don't want y'all to think I'm capping. Joseph Kennedy. I hope I'm spelling it right. Bootlegger. Yeah, here you go. The History Channel. Uh, okay, partly by selling alcohol. So they try to downplay it. Bootlegging is bootlegging, y'all. If he was black, they would have, what I'm saying, they would have ostracized. Charleston White seemed to put the medicine in the candy. Yeah, man. And, for a while, that's what I was doing with the content. I was making the sneaker stuff and I tried to sprinkle game in it, but, we were using the sneakers and whatnot. That's why I was like, I can't really get mad at him. I get it. You got to do what you got to do to get our people in. You got to use something that they're used to, something that they're familiar with, something that they're comfortable with, and then you got to drop the game on them. Because a lot of us, if we keep it 100, we have a very infantile mindset. We don't like to grow up. We always want to stay children forever. We want to stay young forever. That's why we got songs like Forever Young. We got songs like 30s and New 20, and Charleston White hit on that. And I was like, wow, he really brought his A game. Like, we don't like to grow up. We got a lot of people that talk about how they want to stay young forever, or we want to make up for lost time, things that we couldn't do in our youth. We want to do now that we're older and we got the bag. And it's hurting us, man. Let me see. But before I move forward, there's somebody else I want to tell y'all about. Um, Let me see. I think his name was Jesus. Y'all gonna love this. Was it Jesus? Nah, let me see. So you got Fred Trump. It was Fred. It was Fred. It was Fred. Yeah, it was Fred. So Fred, I think it was Fred. Yeah. Fred was out here with a brothel. Let me see. Yep, there you go right here. This is what I want y'all to see. Frederick Trump, you know what I'm saying? The Trump family. Yes, that Trump family. President Trump. This is President Trump's grandfather. He was running brothels. Now, do y'all know what a brothel is? I know a lot of y'all are younger. Y'all might not understand. Let's see. So I want to make sure I give y'all up. What's a brothel? A house where men can visit. So that's what a brothel is, y'all. So President Trump's grandfather, let's do the lineage. That's the grandfather, his son was Fred. Oh, it was Christ. It was Christ. I said Jesus. Okay, so that's Donald Trump's father right here, y'all. So yeah, man. What I was saying, yeah, there you go. There you go. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. We always glorify the people that do things through illicit means, but what we don't realize is, they always figure out a way out. They don't do that forever. They don't plan on being, the guy forever. They do what they do, they make their money, and then they get out. And the thing about that is when you play that game, because I read Rich Paul's book. I think I told y'all to check that out. It's pretty good. The thing is, something that Rich Paul said, and I've heard other people say it, but the most recent I can think about it is Rich Paul's book. He said, when you play that game, you have to have a perfect night every night, you know, but the police, they just need one good night. They don't have to have a perfect night. They don't have to do everything right all the time. They just need to have a decent night, one night, and they can ship you away forever. You know what I'm saying? But we constantly glorify these things that don't benefit us. They don't promote us. And we talk about things that don't really, and we don't focus on the things that benefit us. We don't talk about marriage that much. J. Cole made that song about folding clothes with his wife, and we laughed him out of there. We called that his worst album when it was his most personal album, and he was talking about things that benefit him. I just saw a Lil Wayne interview, and he was talking about how Andre 3000 disappointed him when he said that he doesn't have anything to talk about at his age. But then you look at what Lil Wayne is talking about, and it's like, you know, it's like we love Poison, man, and I'm not even going to sit here and act like I don't listen to the music because I do. I'm a part of the problem. And that's the thing. We don't be honest with each other and we don't be honest with ourselves. When we listen to this music, we are a part of the problem because there's a lot of other rappers out there like Rhapsody. I was watching the show Rap Stuff, and they use Rhapsody as a joke, like, oh, you look like Rhapsody, but people that make, we can't sit here and talk about Sexy Red and Suki Hana and all of these female rappers that are doing all types of things for attention to feed their families and provide a lifestyle when we don't speak enough about the female rappers that are actually saying things. Most people don't even know who Rhapsody is. They haven't heard of Rhapsody, which is a shame. Let me see. Rhapsody. Rhapsody, y'all. Like people don't listen to Rhapsody, and that's why it's like a lot of times I don't really say anything. I've been talking, I've been using my platform, and I've been trying to talk about other things, but for the most part, I just stay quiet because I don't feel like arguing. I don't feel like going there with certain people about certain things. So it's like it is what it is, man. But ultimately, I I, I got to give Charleston White credit. A lot of the things that he said were accurate. It's like King Von was a serial killer. He killed men, women, babies. He said that Drake. He even brought up Drake, my favorite rapper. There you go, Carolina very own from the School of Night Wonder, Jamla Records, And that's the thing, he brought up Drake. Drake is my favorite rapper. He was talking about Drake singing about girls liking girls and promoting lesbianism. He's taking his daughter to school. I got a daughter, bro. I don't want Drake to be singing that. And there's not, I mean, I don't want my daughter to be singing that. And there's nothing wrong with the LGBT community. If that's what you do, that's what you do. It's not about your sexuality. It is what it is. But, you know, these children are impressionable, and the things that we listen to and the things that we teach them, we can't be mad when they turn out a certain way. When T.I. son, T.I. son, I saw a thread on Twitter. I think it was I can't think of the guy's name, but I want to give him his credit. um he's from South Carolina, actually, a rapper. Dang, I'm sick because I definitely want to give him his credit if I'm using his stuff. But he was talking about how T.I.'s son wants to be T.I., and he wants to respect from T.I., but not T.I. the father and the businessman. Um, his name is Musician Bills, Master Teacher. Yeah, I'm gonna show y'all because I definitely want to give him his credit, man. Um, this guy right here, he says a lot of things on the internet that gathers a lot of attention, and he was basically talking about how Ti, Ti's son wants the love and admiration from Ti the gangster. He doesn't want it from Ti the businessman. And a lot of people, we want to play it both ways. We want to be respected for what we did, but at the same time we don't want our children to do what we did. Like, a lot of the mistakes that I've made and a lot of the things that I got wrong, bro, I would be extremely disappointed if my children did that. If my sons came home and told me that they did a lot of the stuff that they would do that I used to do, I would be highly disappointed because even though it's not right, I had the excuse of saying my father wasn't involved enough for me to know better, and I didn't feel comfortable enough talking to him about certain things, and so I took it upon myself to learn the best way that I can. And unfortunately sometimes that meant trial and error. So my kids shouldn't have to go through that. Because why? Because I'm here, bro. Like, above and beyond, 10 toes deep. Whenever they need something, they call. So for them to make the same mistakes that I've made, I would feel like I failed as a parent because I didn't prepare them accurately for the world. And I think that's what a lot of us get wrong. And I'm gonna get back. Yeah, we're gonna talk about that. But as a matter of fact, I'm gonna table what I was thinking for a second, and we're gonna talk about peer pressure. Because peer pressure, the only thing that supersedes peer pressure is training. And I'm going to tell you why. Because people say that you rise to the, no, you sink to the highest level of your training. So when something goes wrong, what happens is you kick into your training. For example, if somebody gets into a fight with a boxer doesn't have to think about what they're going to do because they're trained. So immediately they roll into their training. The other person may not know how to fight. He's going to rise to the highest level of his training. So if he doesn't know how to fight, then naturally he's either going to lose or he's going to run because he is falling back on his training. in hostage situations, in emergency situations, people fall into their training, which is why you have fire drills, because fire drills train you on what to do in the event of an emergency. Active shooter drills train you on what to do in the event of an emergency. That's why when Charleston White said we don't train our children, we raise our children, I was like, that's a bar, because it's the truth. We don't train enough on things that are important to us. So peer pressure kicks in, and peer pressure is important and it's powerful in our community because we don't train and we don't indoctrinate our children enough. Earlier I mentioned the movie King Richard. If you look at how the father, King Richard, was raising Venus and Serena, he had them trained. So they didn't care about peer pressure. They didn't care about how they looked. They didn't care about sneakers. They didn't care about the stuff that indoctrinated kids care about that stuff. Why? Because they were trained to think a certain way. If you watch, what was it, the American Dream, the Jackson 5 movie, you would notice that them kids were trained. They behaved a certain way because they were trained to be performers. That's all they knew. So if you're trained a certain way, peer pressure doesn't matter because you don't know. It doesn't affect you. It's like armor. It just rolls off your skin because you don't know any better. All you know is your training. So we got to get into training our people, man. We got to, and again, I was just watching it like, man, I really, really, really don't want to like this guy, but I can't argue with the facts that he's making. He's making valid points, and I got to keep it 100. The biggest disappointment in that interview that I saw was Cam Newton. I got to keep it 100 because Charleston White was dropping a lot of game. He was stating a lot of truth. He was saying a lot of things that made a lot of sense. And Cam Newton kept trying to lighten the mood. He kept trying to joke. He kept trying to, he just tried to change the vibe because I ain't gonna lie. Charleston White made points. A lot of stuff that he said, yes, it was for attention, but he said, again, when he was coming straight up and he was presenting business and he was speaking nothing but facts, nobody would listen. So, you know, I really didn't like how Cam was trying to make light of a lot of the things that he was saying and make it seem like he was joking or, it wasn't as important as it was. And so I wasn't really a fan of that. Like, for example, when he was talking about the Deion Sanders situation. Now, I I was one of the ones that didn't really blame Deion for leaving, because ultimately you got to get the bag and you got to do what you got to do and you got to save who you can. But Charleston White had me looking at myself like, man, because he was like, there's been times where he got the bag and he turned down the bag because he wanted to give back to his community. And he said that there's always have to be one to make that sacrifice. Now, mind you, I showed you the ones earlier. You got Fred Trump, you got Joseph Kennedy. They made those sacrifices so that their kids could go further past them. Don't you know both of them have presidents in their bloodline? You know, Trump is forever now. That he was a president. Nobody can take that away. John Kennedy, he's a president. Nobody can take that away. You know, Floyd Mayweather, Jackson 5, Beyonce, Tiger Woods are trained from birth. Yes. And look at what they've been able to do. Like you can't argue with that. They were trained from birth and look at the success. If you put somebody that's been trained from birth against somebody that, just is doing it for the money, it's not even close. It's not even close. They aren't going to be able to go as far. They aren't going to be able to stand the distance because these people, that's all they know. Kobe. Kobe was another one. Kobe was another one. And people think that he talked. That's a perfect segue. Charleston White was talking about celebrity worship and how tying it back into the Deion thing. He was like, Deion took the best off that team and he left everybody else. And some of those kids have abandonment issues. And now, they're stuck because, they were looking at Dion as a disciplinarian. They were looking at him as a father figure. He had celebrities coming out there. He had the spotlight. And when he left, he took all of that with him. And, you know, I felt that, bro, as somebody whose father wasn't in the household present. And I always got to say this disclaimer: just because my dad wasn't there in the household doesn't mean that he was a deadbeat or he was negligent. He just literally lived 4 hours away. So we never really got to bond and have that type of relationship where I felt comfortable enough to come to him in certain life situations, just because there was a gap there that never really got filled in. So I say that to say, a lot of these people, man, they idolize celebrities and they worship celebrities because that's the only beacon of light and hope that they have to, you know, make guidance, to make decisions, and to learn. And when Dion left, he took that with him. And a lot of those kids, we don't know what's happening to them now because nobody really cares anymore. And so we have a really bad problem in the community of worshiping and idolizing celebrities. Kendrick talked about it in Mortal Man. Kendrick talked about it in the song Savior. And it's something that we really, really, really got to take control over in our community, because celebrities, if you look at them, first of all, a lot of celebrities got lucky. They just happened to be in the right place at the right time. You know, ain't that many Beyoncés. And when I say ain't that many Beyoncés, it ain't that many celebrities that were trained at birth to do what Beyonce does. You know what I'm saying? Ain't too many Tiger Woods who were trained at birth to do what they do. A lot of times you have people that were talented and they didn't have any discipline and they chose the sports route because it was their only alternative, which, on one hand, that's commendable, but at the same time, that person shouldn't be a role model because that person is an entertainer. It's so crazy that we glorify entertainers, people that provide entertainment. What is entertainment? You got to look. I'm really big on looking up words. So when you look up words, you understand what they mean. We say words and we associate emotions with words, but we don't understand what these words mean. So entertainment. Let me show y'all something, man. Let me show y'all something. The word entertainment. And I know it may seem like it's patronizing, but it's not. I literally will grab a dictionary all the time. Entertainment. Shows, movies, television, or other performances or activities that entertain people, or a performance of this type. So let's look up the word entertain. Entertain. To keep a group of people interested or enjoying themselves. To keep a group of people interested or enjoying themselves. To keep a group of people interested or enjoying themselves. So if a person's job is to keep you interested or enjoying themselves, why are we idolizing them? Like, when you understand what it means to be entertained or to entertain someone, the idea of glorifying or idolizing someone that is supposed to keep you interested or enjoying yourself is crazy. It's hard to understand unless, you don't have any role models. Now, what is a role model? Let me see. Hopefully they have it. Yes. A person who someone admires and whose behavior they try to copy. So come on, y'all. If your role model, somebody that you admire in behavior, bruh, that unpacks it right there. A lot of children try to copy the behavior of entertainers, and they don't understand that it is entertainment. And then, again, Charleston White said that a lot of these entertainers are stuck in the stage and they can't get off the stage. A lot of these people are not really living the life that they talk about or they rap about. It just doesn't make sense. There's no way that these rappers that rap about drugs all the time can actually do the amount of drugs that they do. You know how I know? Because you look at the rappers that are doing that amount of drugs that they rap about and they die. You know, look at Juice World. He lived his raps and look at what happened. And we constantly push people to live their raps, and we take it outside of entertainment and we try to make entertainment reality when entertainment is supposed to keep you busy. It's supposed to keep you interested, which means that an entertainer is going to do whatever they have to do to keep you interested. Celebrity news can be a helpful study of human behavior in real time. 100%. You know, it's great to use them as case studies because it's somebody neutral that everybody knows. That is not up for debate or dispute whatsoever. However, using celebrities as role models and trying to copy their behavior, that's where the issue comes in because the things that they're talking about a lot of the time aren't positive. And again, I hate that this is the year that we choose to have this conversation. The 50th year of hip hop is the year that we want to talk about it. But the truth is the truth. You know, if you have people constantly rapping about murder and drugs and not getting married and cheating and committing crimes, and you have people that look at these people as role models, meaning that they want to copy that behavior, what do you think is going to happen? Then you add in the fact that these people are impressionable and they don't know better. Their brains aren't fully developed. A lot of the times they can't distinguish between what's real and what's not. And then you have a mess, man. And that's where we are right now. You know, we don't really have anybody that's telling you to listen to um, the stock market or follow economics. And then the people that are telling you to do that, a lot of the times they have a scammer's background or they have a criminal background attached to them. So it's hard to, kind of take them seriously. They don't have any credentials. They don't have any paperwork to verify what they're saying. And so it's like we don't really have people, positive role models like that at the moment. And it's unfortunate. So I say all that to say, man, I definitely encourage everybody to watch that Charleston White interview, man. I'm crazy. It's crazy. I've seen, I know who he is. I'm familiar with, clips and things that he's said. And I've always thought I wouldn't be able to find common ground or agree with this guy. But a lot of the points that he made was accurate. We You see the ballet teacher on TikTok talking about the behavior of children and parents. Is that the one with the? Was that the lady that was talking about how the kids were requesting to hear "Sexy Red"? If so, yeah, I saw that, man, and it's like, bro, you know, I don't know, man. That's the real reason why I do this. Obviously, of course, I would like to make money on YouTube. Of course, I don't really need to be famous. I'm good on that. Like, I don't need attention. I'm good on attention. I don't need, my ego boosted by people recognizing me and knowing me and things like that. But I realize that I do have a platform. I do have an audience, and I realize that people listen. And maybe it's the teacher in me, bro. Like, I feel like we have a responsibility to talk about adult things, man, and discuss real life issues. And I don't really bash people for what they choose to make or how they use their content, because at the end of the day, everybody needs money and you got to get it how you live in the society. But I just think we've lost sight of morals and value and integrity and togetherness and just things like that, man. It sounds kumbaya, and that's why I said yesterday everybody can't go. Was that yesterday or the day before? I made a video about how everybody can't go. Unfortunately, everybody isn't going to be able to ride the wave. If you look at religious texts, a lot of them say only 144 people gonna go. You know, there's a lot of people in the world, but only 144 people gonna make it. Now, even if you adjust the number based on the the amount of people that were probably living back then, it's still a very small percentage if you adjust it for the amount of people that are on the earth today. I say that to say, man, we got to start doing better as far as what we talk about, what we promote, you know, how we use our content, the type of content that we consume. I remember when I was in school, I remember if you talked a certain way, people used to say you were acting white. And it's crazy because there's a lot of smart black people that talk proper and they aren't coons and they aren't sellouts and they aren't any of that stuff. Yet people attribute talking proper to talking white. Now granted, if you really want to go there, if you speak English, then you're talking white because English comes from England, which is a European nation. And I'm not going to go too deep into that because I really don't want to go down that road tonight. I want to try to stay on topic, but if unless you speak, whatever. Anyways, um, I think that we do have to have accountability and we have to be cautious about what we let our children. Matt, wasn't that you that told me that your daughter didn't even know who Nicki Minaj was until like recently? Like that's an example of controlling your ecosystem, man. Like if you don't mold your children, if you don't shape them, if you don't train them, somebody is going to. Like don't think that, your children are just going to be out here and they're going to be unaffected by the world unless you shelter them. And when I say shelter them, I don't mean you don't expose them to the realities of the world because you can't stop that. But what I mean is you prepare them and you give them the tools that they need in order to, I thought so. You equip them with the tools that they need to survive so they don't have to look to the world. They learn those lessons. And a lot of people, the movie ATL, if you watch it, it's funny because I was just talking about Ti. If you watch the movie ATL, it was like they learned how to resolve issues by watching Good Times. I think it was Good Times, bro. Let me see. She learned it hanging from her cousins. Exactly, man. Like, and that's the unfortunate part. You can do everything right in your household, but because a cousin or a nephew or an uncle is indoctrinated, they're gonna you can't avoid it. That's why you have to train them on how to deal with those situations when they come across them. And it's unfortunate. I can only say but so much because at the end of the day, I contributed to the problem because I had a child out of wedlock. You know what I'm saying? So listen to what I say, but also understand that I'm not perfect. I have contributed to the single parent epidemic. I have contributed to the chance of my son, not fully being able to live his best possible life because of decisions that I made, you know. So again, I always say, none of us are perfect. None of us are exempt. We got to do the best that we can and we got to be honest and we got to address these situations and we got to deal with them because, a lot of the things that Charleston White said shouldn't be that inflammatory. Honestly, they aren't controversial. They aren't that shocking. He said Dion took a lot of money from a black school and he took a lot of notoriety and attention from a black school. And he was like, we're just repeating history because, other groups have always taken our best and brightest and integrated them at the detriment of our own individuality. And here's the thing, I was actually listening to a Tucker Carlson interview. It's actually pretty decent. I was listening to it, and Tucker Carlson said one of the biggest issues with America is the divisiveness. You have, if you focus on race, if you focus on religion, if you focus on the things that separate us as a country, then you're always going to have issues. And I agree with them. But the issue is, you can't blame the people for participating in a system that they didn't create. You know, Black people didn't create laws that separated people by race. That was the government. The government sponsored segregation, separate but equal. That was a law. Jim Crow, those were laws, you know. And, it's like when people speak up for their issues, they feel like it's divisive when, you know, they just want to be repaired for what was wrong. So right now we're about to experience the greatest transfer of wealth that has pretty much ever been seen. And a lot of that wealth isn't going to be passed down in Black generations. And you ask why? Well, it's because Black people didn't have access to a lot of things. It was illegal for Black people to have um, life insurance. They couldn't live in certain neighborhoods. Their businesses got burned down and destroyed. So, what could they pass down? You see a celebrity and they have massive amounts of wealth. A lot of times, if they're Black, something happens or they didn't get their paperwork together, and that money leaves the community. So, you look at other groups, Asians have an established community, other groups have established. Hispanics, they have a network. They have things that they do with each other. And even though America is America, America is built on a bunch of different tribes that work together, and they increase their income together. So you got Chinatown, you have Little Italy, you have, whatever, the Little Haiti. um, you have different, in any city, you have different neighborhoods, and who's in that neighborhood. Like if you look at Charlotte, you know where the Black community is, you know where the Asian community is, you know where the Jewish community is, you know where the Islamic community is, you know where the Hispanic communities are, and you know where the Indian communities are. And then uptown is where all of the big players meet and they do business together. And then they all go back to their respective communities and they do business with each other. You know, my thing is, and here's something that I always thought was funny. They say that it's divisive to have ethnic based businesses, but just the other day, my wife and I were riding and we saw an Indian wholesale, um, what was it? Indian wholesale business. You know, you go get Mexican food, or you go get African food, or you go to Compare, which Compare grocery stores are owned by Hispanic people. You know, um, so we like to act like it's only there's only one race, and that's American. But the reality is, America is a bunch of groups of individual tribes that come together to do business together and protect their business interests. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that, because that is what it means to be American. America is a business, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, we're all united. People always ask, well, what are Americans united under? We're united under the idea of freedom. We're united under the Constitution. It's what the Constitution says. That's what America is built on. And, when you look at it from that angle, it doesn't matter what your race is. It doesn't matter, you would think. But again, there's practices in place that prevent these things to happen. And, I'm not going to get into white supremacy, or I'm not going to get into, conspiracy theories or all of that, because you don't have to go there. All you have to do is open your eyes and look at what's in front of you. You know, finding a niche in the community that surrounds you. Yes, of course. And that's what all businesses are based off of. Nike isn't um Nike is a business based on sports. It's a niche. First it started with shoes, and then it started with sportswear and apparel. So, there's room for everybody out here, Um, but again, we don't focus enough on business and infrastructure. Matt, you brought up TikTok earlier. Like if you look at I saw something that said the TikTok in China is totally different from the TikTok here in America because they focus on engineering and science and et cetera, et cetera. But the TikTok we get is just focused on people doing crazy stuff. And it's like, that's training, y'all. I mean, you can hate it, you can love it, say what you want, but that's training. They are training their people. And we just got to get back to that. Unfortunately, it's going to be harsh. So let me get some tangibles. I know I'm kind of getting off track, but I don't like to just say a bunch of stuff and not provide solutions or just only speak on doom and gloom. And I really don't see myself doing a lot of these review type videos or things of that nature because I'd like to make my own content. But unfortunately, we got to start taking our kids and saying, you, baby number one, sorry, but we need a doctor in the family. You're going to be a doctor. Let's get these grades together. Let's work on this, that. You going to med school. Baby number two, sorry, we need a lawyer in the family. You going to law school. I don't care about your passion. I don't care if you want to be a rapper. No, we don't need no more rappers. We need a lawyer in the family. You gonna have to go to law school. Baby number three, sorry, you are gonna have to be an engineer, or you're gonna have to go into construction. We need somebody to build these buildings that your brother is gonna practice law in, and your sister is going to practice medicine in. Somebody got to build the buildings. So guess what? Baby number three, that's your job. We got to get to that point where we are putting our children on career tracks. And unfortunately, they aren't qualified to make those decisions. We just gonna have to coach them. And that's unfortunate. I hate that it has to come to that. But if we don't, then we gonna have another t-shirt line, which we don't need because we got enough t-shirt lines. We need people to make plants. We need people to build factories. We need people. That's immigrants' belief. I mean, bro, it is. But look at what they got done. Look at what they doing. Um, it's harsh, bro. But yeah, we got to start assigning roles and training them to be that. Baby, I don't know nothing about doctors, but your cousin is a doctor, or your uncle is a doctor, or I don't know, that guy over there, he's a doctor. We're gonna spend some time with him. We're gonna find out what you need to do, and that's what we're gonna make happen. But no, you're not gonna be a rapper. No, you're not gonna be an athlete. No, you're not gonna follow your dreams and make a mixtape. Sorry, we don't need that. We need we need somebody to build these businesses that your brother is going to practice law in and your sister is going to practice medicine in. And I think that's just where we are, man. Yeah, that's where we are. Instead of listening to little Tweezy, what you gonna do is you gonna listen to this podcast, and this podcast is from a doctor. We gonna listen to the Huberman podcast, and you gonna learn about medicine. You gonna learn about the body. You gonna listen to, you like that movie with Jamie Foxx and Michael B. Jordan. Good. You gonna watch that movie. You gonna watch the Thurgood Marshall movie. You gonna watch the movie Burial. We gonna watch Law and Order. We gonna learn the law. We gonna that's what it is. You're not gonna sit up on YouTube all day and watch Lanky Box. That ain't for you. You're not gonna be a YouTube star. We don't need that. We need to have people that are professional, that are going to build things that benefit us. Oops, we got another baby. We got an oops baby. Guess what? You're going to be a mechanic, and your brother going to build you a shop so you can fix cars. You know why? Because we drive cars. We drive cars. Your brother drive cars. Your sister drive cars. Your mom and your daddy drive cars. Guess what? You going to fix their cars. And we're going to pay you, but you're not going to have to worry about paying rent because you own your building. Why? Because your brother built it. You know, if you get sick, you're not gonna have to worry about, high insurance bills and all that stuff. Why? Because your sister a doctor. Somebody get injured on the job site and they need workers comp, and they trying to get litigants and they trying to mess you up and they trying to take advantage. Don't worry about it. Your brother's a lawyer. You know, you notice other groups always got somebody in their family that just happens to be something. Well, you know, my cousin is a real estate agent. Oh, my uncle is a lawyer. Oh, my my nephew is a police officer. Why we don't have that? Why we can't say that? Because we focus on the wrong stuff. We need to get like that. Oh, you're saying that my house is only worth $50,000? Let me check with my cousin. He's a appraiser. Let me see what he says. You know. Oh, you said that you're gonna charge me $1,200 for a fuel pump. Let me check with my nephew. My nephew is a mechanic. Let me see what he says. You know what I'm saying? That's how you build leverage. You got to start filling voids and you got to start taking jobs that may not be the sexiest or they may not be the nicest. Everybody ain't gonna be white collar. Everybody don't need to be a doctor. Everybody don't need to be a lawyer. Sorry. Baby one is the doctor. Baby two is the lawyer. Baby three is the construction person. Oops, baby, you the mechanic. Boom. You ain't built for school. You just don't have enough discipline to go to college. So we gonna put you in trade school and you gonna learn a trade so that you can still contribute to this family and you can contribute to society. Bruh, that's just how it's gonna be, y'all. We gotta get serious, man. We gotta get serious. And I don't even know how I got here, y'all. That wasn't the goal. I was talking about Charleston White and Cam Newton, but this is just where the wind blew me, right? That's where I'm at, man. It is what it is. We just gonna have to start assigning roles to our children. You know, baby number one, you were supposed to be a doctor, but you know what? That ain't for you. You ain't cut out for that. You know, baby number four, we thought he was gonna be a mechanic, but clearly he is ready for school. So, we just gonna make you the mechanic and we gonna make you the doctor. You know, but you're gonna do something. You're gonna be able to contribute. You're gonna benefit everybody, and that's just where we are, y'all. That's just where we are. So that's my thoughts. Let me see, because I'm about to finish watching this movie with wifey. Is there anything going on? Anything anybody want to talk about? Let me see what we got going on before I get out of here and finish watching this movie because it looked pretty interesting. Let's see. Fat Joe said, oh, y'all, you can't make this up. Let me share this, man, because we was just talking about how people can't distinguish entertainers. And for the people that watch the playback, y'all, this was not premeditated. It just so happened to pop up as I was about to go. Look at this, y'all. Look at this. Look at this. Fat Joe says, I've lied in almost 90% of my songs. Defends Young Thug amid lyrics being used in RICO trial. I've lied in almost 95% of my songs. Defends Young Thug amid lyrics being used in RICO trial. Bruh, entertainment. Now, I don't know Fat Joe. I don't know enough about Fat Joe to say whether he's capping or not, because a lot of these people really do be doing the stuff that they talk about. I've heard stories, but I wasn't there. I don't know these people personally, so I can't say what's true or not. I don't know. But what I can say is a lot of these people believe in living their raps. And, that's why entertainers should not be role models, because entertainers are here to keep you interested. Here you go. And then I saw this trending for a minute. So let's talk about this real quick. I mentioned it earlier. He wants the admiration and love from T.I. the gangster. But that's the thing, man. Again, you know, T.I. should have said, boy, you know, since you talk so much, we gonna put you in law school. What Young Dolph say, man? She liked to argue, so I made her go to law school. You know, son, you going to law school. Let's stop. You wanna, you know, you wanna be gangster. You wanna live that life. Let's get you in law school so you can help those people. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's help those people. I've caused a lot of pain and misery by telling my story with my music, but you know what? You gonna fix it. Since you think that that lifestyle is glorified, and you think that that lifestyle is the way to go, let's help those people. They're gonna end up in a lot of situations, and they're gonna need somebody like yourself, in order to help them get out of it. And you know what? I even tell you this, son. They will appreciate you so much more because you can relate to them. Because you grew up like them, right? And then have them go sit in the cell with the lawyer as a lawyer talks to somebody that did something, you know what I'm saying? And do that. That's where we gotta get. We gotta start assigning roles to these kids, y'all. But anyways, like I said, man, I'm about to sign out. I'm gonna watch this movie with my wife because I thought it was really good. Hopefully she's not asleep. But if you like this content, you find it valuable, then make sure you share. Also, make sure you like. I see we had 3 people in here. Please make sure that you hit the like button. It helps me out so tremendously, and I appreciate you gratefully. Like I said, if you found value, share it with somebody. And we out, y'all. I'm going to holler. All right.